Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Brake reminder and force brake help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force brake activates to rest your eyes. Eye care you. Safeguard your eyes.
Hi everyone, welcome back to AMX Global. You join myself, Alex, and I'm rejoined by my Italian comrade at arms. Hello Marco, how are you doing, buddy? Good to see you.
Doing great, Alex. Good evening to you and to everybody. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. We are, going for a nice duo of races today, starting from my own country of Italy with GT3 cars at Monza, and then we'll move down under for the TDI Jetta at Oran Park. So an exciting night of racing for everybody. And we start, of course, Alex, with one of the classics in modern racing, GT3s at Monza.
Autodromo Nazionale di Monza opened back in September of 1922. It's been in use for over 100 years. It's a regular for the Tifosi to visit for the Italian Grand Prix, and it is the first of two stops. We're going to be here in continental Europe, and where the track is going to be seeing GT3 cars go north of 265 kilometers an hour. But first things first, folks, there's a little bit of housekeeping. We are officially on day 27 of day 40 or 45 of AMX Beta Season 2. Now, there was a lot of action yesterday on day 26, but there are some GT3 cars going down the main start-finish straight out of Parabolica Alboreto, which is the final corner on the circuit. And there is going to be a lot of action here. Here is the current total earnings standings as things stand. Kaya Gaspar might be leading at the moment with $1,221 to his credit, but Gael Valero is hot on his heels on 965, Gaston Kulhavi on 937, Jackson Desenje on 909, and Victor Miranda rounding out the top 5 on $904. We did see Aaron Linsky in action yesterday with Formula V's at Brands Hatch and TCR's at Okayama. Unfortunately, the American did not make it to the end of the second race. But the good thing is we have two types of racing tonight. We have AMX 5 up first, which is a $5 entry fee, And as Reed alluded to yesterday, we have changed the points for everybody, which means more opportunity to earn more dollars. 25 for a victory, 20 for second, 15 for third, fourth or fifth in the race, it's $12 a piece. Fastest lap in the race gets $5 and we give prize money all the way down to 20th. So in the AMX 5 standings, Gaio Valero leads the way just by $16 on 186. And also the fact that Caio Gaspar is in second, Gaston Coulharvey and Corentin Guignez ran at the top 4 positions, with Diego Villarreal are, as of recently, non-qualifying specialist, but he got out and did a lap last night at Okayama in TCRs and nearly got into the top 5 overall. But those are the current AMX 5 Global Beta Season 2 rankings as of this point. But you know what? I'm going to hand over to a man who knows this track like the back of his hand. Marco, it's over to you to talk to the folks about the track and the cars we're going to be racing tonight.
Of course, yes, Alex. Legendary racetrack hasn't changed much over the years. Of course, the adding of the 3 chicanes, the first one, of course, which has changed a bit over the last 20 years, and the Variante della Roggia after that, and the Variante Ascari. But apart from that, the layout is the same as it has been for, more than 60, 70 years nowadays. Of course, we don't race anymore on the full layout, which includes the right turning oval, but still one of the fastest racetracks in the world, with plenty of passing opportunities and of course a lot of chances for slipstreaming, and of course the always dangerous first lap, first chicane, which we have seen over the years has put many drivers in trouble. So you need to be absolutely aware of whatever happens. You don't want to have a crash straight away. And of course we are racing with GT3 cars, which are, I would say, the most popular, if not the most popular form of close stop racing, and of course Sirena Racing, represented by several manufacturers including BMW, Mercedes, Audi, Lamborghini, Ferrari, Porsche, even Ford and McLaren, with a couple of very old but still beautiful to look at competitors. And as we can expect with these cars, very different philosophies for each one of them. Traction control, ABS, and a balance of performance, Alex, that will ensure that everybody will be on equal footing no matter the car they pick.
Yeah, you mentioned 3 words that most real-life racing drivers have an absolute hatred for. It is, of course, balance of performance. These cars are homologated through FIA GT3 regulations. Of course, GT3 is going to be making its debut in the World Endurance Championship in 2024. But yeah, a few cars on the iRacing platform, such as the Ferrari 488 GT3 Evo, the Mercedes AMG GT3 Evo. And then we also have, I love it when someone from the native country says the words Lamborghini or Ferrari. That's why I always maintain that if I don't say it properly, I know that Marco is going to be on Discord DMing me saying you are saying it wrong. It's like me talking about Porsche. When people call it Porsche, I go, well, hang on, the E's got a little bit of an emphasis on it. It's like with Cavallino Rampante, for instance, Marco, wouldn't you agree?
I absolutely agree. I try my best always to say Porsche, which is also how we say in Italy. We say Porsche, we really put the emphasis on the. So I try to make in between to make it sound like I almost know what I'm saying. But hopefully we get the new Ferrari in iRacing sometime soon, and which of course has been on the headlines fairly recently with this triumph in the 24 hours in the Nordschleife a couple of days ago.
Yep, so here are the practice results from the first of 2 races tonight. So AMX 5 is up first. Then we have AMX 0, where it is literally entry for anybody. There is a 2 times multiplier in terms of the prize fund happening right up until the end of the month of May. Of course, we have got Jackson Resenje, who's going to be running in the Mercedes AMG, running in the Canan Esports Brazil. Of course, Tony Canan competing in his final Indianapolis 500 this weekend. We also, here at AMX Global, have to give a shout out to Steph Wilson, who unfortunately has had a cracked thoracic vertebrae and will not be competing due to an incident in practice involving himself and Catherine Legg. With Graham Rahal now jumping in to the car that Stephen Wilson, the brother of the late Justin Wilson, is due to pilot around the Brickyard. Now getting into time qualifying, and as you and I both know, Marco, the Autodromo Nazionale Monza is a fearsome circuit. Every single car is going to be pushing north of 70% of this circuit at full throttle. It was the backdrop for the 2022 ADAC Digital GT500, where Williams Esports actually picked up the 1-2 victory. But we did have quite a few drivers in that were of top tier, like Giorgio Simonini, who is now the team manager for Lamborghini's esports program, and never in my wildest dreams would I hear the words Giorgio Simonini and Lamborghini arranged. But this circuit here at Monza is incredibly formidable. We're seeing Jackson Resenje at the moment, who we're running on board with on the Mercedes AMG. They're pushing 255 kph. He's hard on the brakes into Parabolica Alboreto. And this 3.66 mile circuit is just really, really fearsome. So I'm going to hand it over to you to take us on a hot lap on board with Jackson Resenje at Autodromo Nazionale di Monza.
Yeah, you need to maximize your exit speed out from Parabolica, because you want absolutely to get the best speed possible. Looking on the left side, braking around 150, 100, and then the first crucial bit, you need to cut these curves as much as you can, but not too much, otherwise iRacing will penalize you with a slowdown or an off-track. Of course, that lap will be invalidated. And of course, here now at Curva Grande or Curva Biassono, depending on if you want to call it like the name of the nearby town, staying tight and moving on the left and back on the right under the bridge for the Variante della Roggia. Again, you start braking towards the end of the guardrail there on the left, and same story here, hitting these curves as much as you can, using the exit on the left. Need to stay, of course, on the curve, not on the gravel. Then the two Lesmos, Lesmo 1, you start turning right when you see an escape road on the right. You cannot use too much of curb here because it will be an off-track. Same story in the second Lesmo. Cut, and then not too much on the green bit here, otherwise it's going to be an off-track as well. And then pedal to the metal down to the Serraglio, and you start seeing, of course, the old racetrack on top of you. And looking on the right, when the red marker is on the wall, you see there you can brake for the Variante Ascari. One of the most slippery pieces of tarmac in all of iRacing. Cars will be slipping no matter the amount of downforce, no matter the car. You can slip and slide even with an LMP1 around here. And then once again, full throttle, and you brake for the Parabolica right around where you see the green bit there on the left. There it is, of AstroTurf, and stay tight to the curb. You need to push on the gas when the curb on the right ends. Now, you might listen to me and think, oh man, this guy knows his way around here. I'm super slow, but I've watched so many tutorial videos from fast drivers in iRacing that I know it like the back of my hand. I would also love to replicate their lap times, or the lap time that we just seen from Kulabi, 48.3. Very tough, but at least these guys are much faster than me, and they've just proven it.
Yeah, Gaston Coulthard, 1 minute 48.376. Jackson Resenje, 1 minute 48.56. Gaston Coulthard hopefully trying to improve further still. He's going to get a little bit of slipstream assistance around this fearsome circuit here at the Autodromo Nazionale Monza. And also, I'm not going to ask the question, because it might be that the question is somewhat being answered to a specific point, that Diego Villarreal and Gael Valero are both out on respective outlaps. Resenje, who's just gone purple in sector number 2, as both he and Coulthard exit out of the respective Lesmos. Well, Resenje decides to abort that lap. There is the number 22, Diego Villarreal, coming out of the Parabolica Alboreto, named after the late F1 driver and former Audi Sport WEC sports car driver Michele Alboreto, who unfortunately a few years ago lost his life due to a testing accident, as Diego Villarreal now actually brakes hard into the Variante Rettafilio, and again just going a little bit wide coming out of there. But as you said, Marco, see Diego Villarreal now decide, well, I'm not going to be the brunt of the joke anymore. I'm going to go out there and qualify on merit. And he showed that yesterday with the TCRs at Okayama and did a pretty good job.
Yeah, and of course, you always want to you know what I'm thinking, that if you are thinking about racing, and of course, especially with a race like this, maybe track position is not super important where you start, but I'm always thinking that as a lifelong non-qualifier in most of my races on iRacing, I've realized that even if you're not super fast or you don't intend to, go pedal to the metal to qualify in a good position because you just want to enjoy the race, it's much better to at least try and qualify, because otherwise you're sitting in the garage for 10-15 minutes and then you start the race and you are unprepared, so at least now, even if you don't qualify well, you get the juices flowing, you get into the rhythm of racing, you use once again these laps to do a little bit of extra practice, so to speak. So when the time comes from the green flag to drop, of course in a few minutes, you are ready to go. And looking at Diego, if he hasn't done any off track, he should post a valid lap time. Here he comes on the start finish line. And unfortunately he made an off-track somewhere, but Gael Valero looks like he's on a very, very fast lap.
Yeah, Villarreal I think went wide coming out of the the second of the two Lesmos, as that is Valero, running in the number 33 BMW M4 GT3. A car that actually made its debut on iRacing, very much like the BMW M V8 Hybrid got scanned into iRacing and made its virtual racing debut first before the actual car hit the track, a bit like the original M4 GT3 when it was first scanned at the offices at Turner Motorsports. Valero's gone fastest in the first two sectors. He's done not really posted a lap time, so to speak, as the number 33 from France, but he's fastest in sector 4. So this looks to be a pretty handy lap as he goes very, very close towards the wall coming out of Parabolica Alboreto, and he's across the line. What's his lap time going to be? 1:47.786, and that's more than enough to put a wind up the sails of Gaston Coulharvey, who's 6/10 behind him. Resenje is just making his way into Variante Ascari, and the absolute noisy brute that is the 6.2 litre naturally aspirated V8 of that front mid-mounted Mercedes AMG GT3 Evo. And also, it's a car that in its own right has won so many different events. The 24 hours of the Nürburgring Nordschleife, 12 hours of Bathurst. It's come close to winning at Spa on a multitude of occasions, but at Resenje, we're going to see what the number 1 from Brazil has in the tank as he's about to cross the line here at Monza. Is he going to improve? No, he doesn't. He was slightly shy going into the last 45 seconds, but the good thing is, Marco, is that Diego Villarreal has set a lap, not necessarily a lap time in qualification.
Yes, absolutely. He will start fourth because we are running out of time. Maybe Jackson Resenje can have he will have one more attempt if he chooses to do so. I'm a bit surprised to see Gael Valero in a BMW today, because his team, AMX Racing Team, has announced basically 1 week ago that they are the new... a mistake from Resenje, that's going to be his qualifying. Is going to be AMX Racing Team, the new... one of the new factory esports teams for Mercedes AMG, so that's something to keep an eye on, but he still went for the BMW, of course. This means that in the big events, AMX Racing Team and Williams Esports also, they are another factory team for Mercedes AMG here in iRacing. So this just means that in the big events, like the upcoming 6 Hours of the Glen, which is coming in 3 weeks' time here, in the, I think around in the weekend of the 15th of June, we'll see lot more Mercedes from Apex and Williams Esports.
Yeah, Gaio Valero puts it on pole for this particular race, which is AMX 5, race number 14 of Beta Season 2. Don't forget, you can go to find out all the relevant information. If you are watching us for the first time, thank you so much for joining us. And if you haven't already followed us on Twitch or subscribed to us on YouTube, please do so. It might be a little click for you. It means a heck of a lot to us. And you can also find out about what other upcoming races we've got, what cars we're going to be running in, what tracks we're going to be running at. But Gaio Valero picks up pole position once again. This is for AMX 5, race number 14 in GT3 cars at Autodromo Nazionale di Monza. So Valero, you know what, Marco did an absolutely stellar job with one lap in that qualification session. Didn't really put a foot wrong. Improved every single sector. 4 out of the 5 sectors he was fastest of anybody. Gulharvi knows that he's got to get the jump on him in the start, and that's incredibly crucial here at Monza, especially going into the Rettifiglio, because if you are on the outside of the front row, you've got to be brave on the brakes, you've got to be late, you've got to be late enough so you don't overshoot. Well, I might remember when a certain Marcus went flying down the Rettifiglio, as in down the escape chute with his Alfa Romeo Formula 1 car in multiple bits. Gulharvi want to ink the iRacing server by having an off-track and thereby gaining a slowdown.
Yeah, and this is one of those first corners that really entices you into going for it. So we'll see, especially because we know that Gaio Valero is a driver that likes to dominate, and more often than not, when he's taking part in these races, he's at the pointy end of the field. So other drivers know if they want to get anything out of this race, it's crucial to have a good start, and if possible, to overtake the Frenchman. We will start on pole, as you will see on your screen right now, with 6/10 of a second over Gaston Coulavi, 7/10 over Jackson Hasenji, and Diego Villarreal without a time. He will start down in 4th position. The Porsche official iRacing safety car is ready to go, and so are we. We are just waiting on Jackson Hasenji to grid up, and then the starting procedure will begin.
They'll be starting underneath the Brembo Bridge coming out of Seraglio, and then they'll head through into Variante Ascari. It's a 10-lap race, so over 36 miles of this circuit will be circumnavigated by these 4 cars. 20 points, aka $20 into the back pocket of the race winner, and then there's also an additional $5 for a fastest lap. We are just, as Marco just said, Jackson Hasenji, we're just waiting for him to grid up. It's going to be a short formation. And Marco, that's very, very different to what we see on, say, for instance, the iRacing special events, especially when they have a full formation lap, whereas we here at AMX, we have sprint race formats all the way through every single race day that we have here for Beta Season 2. Temperatures are going to be crucial, especially for the rundown to Rettifiglio.
Absolutely, you have such a little time to get those tires into temperature. Of course, you need to be careful because we know a racing tire model is extremely sensitive to temperatures, and so you need to keep those tires in good shape and not to abuse them when the race starts. We have had a big update from iRacing in the last 3 months when we had the update on the GT3 tires. Well, that came in late December, which basically made these tires last around 40 minutes before needing to go to have a pit stop and change them. And before that, you could do multiple stints on these GT3 tires, and so that has changed radically the way the races are taken up by the drivers, especially because in the official GT3 you usually go for 40 minutes in the basically World Challenge Copycat series and 45 minutes in the IMSA series. We are doing a bit less than that, so the drivers will have a little bit more leeway, but still they need to be careful not to overuse their tires, because with the higher track temperatures we have today, making a mistake late in the race could be quite easy.
So the iRacing Porsche safety car leads them down to the final corner. Parabolica Alboreto. It is Gaio Valero on pole in the BMW. Gaston Culharvey alongside in the Cavallino Rampante, the number 3 on the front row, followed by the Mercedes of Jackson Resenche. Diego Villarreal bringing up the rear of the field as the Porsche pace car peels into pit lane. We are on our marks, ready, get set, green flag will wave very, very shortly. And now the revs rise. We are underway here at Autodromo Nazionale di Monza. Good start by Valero. Resenje pulling alongside Culharvey on the run down to Rettifili on the first of 10 laps. And what a move by Resenje. Straight up the inside, and Culharvey attacks the back of Resenje and spins the number 3 Ferrari right around through the midpoint of the chicane. So straight away, Culharvey has already come a cropper in the first lap. If it was a 60-minute, 90-minute endurance race, Culharvey would be able to claw that back. But we still have very close to this. You can see they're bumping through the over the sausage curves through Della Roggia, or the second chicane into the Lesmos. Third gear, you've got to approach it very, very differently through these two particular corners. We have seen it before where curbs have been used. I still remember when the Biela Euronics Porsche number 45 actually went off at the after the second Lesmo and did a 1080 whilst after hitting the barriers coming out of the secondary Lesmo. You're going to see the replay here. So Resenje gets a nice braking purchase into Rettifilio, and Culharvey gets a bit crazy on the loud pedal, bumps over the curb, turns the number 3 488 around. That gives Diego Villarreal all the opportunity he needed to make up one position early through the first couple of corners.
Yeah, sometimes we see the car being hit is the one that goes around, but in this case the Ferrari was a bit unstable after going a bit hard on the curb there on the inside. When he went on the gas pedal, he was still bouncing. He got on the back of the Mercedes, and he himself was the victim of a spin, 6.8 seconds back from Diego Villarreal. Still, you can see in the back of the shot the second of the two Ferraris tonight, and Valero is trying to build a small gap, and I have to say Villarreal holding on quite well so far, being very, very close to Resenje. Just to say that the commentator cursed strikes because he went super deep coming out of the first chicane, and he promptly lost 0.6 of a second. So now a bit of a bigger gap between second and third place, and so it's basically left to Jackson Resenje to be able to try and rival the flying Frenchman from ART there in first place as they go through Lesmo 1 and 2 for the second time tonight.
Yep, lead between Gaio Valero and Jackson Resenje, who's just had a big old off track. Oh, Resenje was off coming out of the second Lesmo. Very, very wide indeed. It's a third gear corner, both Lesmos, and you're probably doing about 120, 130 kilometers per hour through the apex. If you get it all wrong, you go through that second Lesmo as Villarreal was 2 wheels in the air on both the first 2 parts of the Variante Ascari. He's still within about 2.1 seconds of Jackson Resenje, but we know that Monza, Marco, is a very, very heavily power-dependent circuit, and you can just see the differentials between Valero and Resenje and Villarreal. You could see that Sector 2, Resenje was about a quarter of a second behind, then it goes to nearly 4/10 in Sector 4. But the Mercedes, with that sheer grunt of that naturally aspirated 6.2 litre V8, starts to really get into its stride once you put that power down fully. You put the foot on the loud pedal all the way to the floor. It really does have a lot of torque, but the BMW is a very good all-rounder, especially in a circuit here like Monza.
Yes, and believe it or not, this is one of the last few remaining tracks in all of the iRacing world where actually one of the preferred cars, if not the preferred car, is the old McLaren MP4 12C, which has a very, very good straight line speed, but tonight nobody has picked it up for this race, and we've seen lately in the service the Mercedes being absolutely one of the preferred cars together with the Audi. Again, the Audi not being picked up tonight. So it seems like the front engine cars are the ones that are dictating the pace. Sort of a reverse of what we've seen at the Nordschleife over the weekend, with the German manufacturers today having a good day at the office on the Italian racetrack.
Yeah, so for those wondering about the different drivetrains we've got on these cars, as we'll have a little opportunity to explore those. BMW, it's a 3-litre inline flat six, twin power M-Power twin turbo. Jackson Ascendje has got the good old rumbling, snarling 6.2-litre V8, which is mid-mounted in the front of the car. And then both Villarreal and Coolharvey have the 3.9-litre twin turbocharged V8 in the mid part of the Ferrari 488, which produces over 700 pounds-feet of torque and can have a lot of run coming out of the corners. But the 488 is not the flavour of the month at Maranello. It's now the 296 GT3, a nice new addition to the GT3 cavalcade that we see year in, year out. It is also on Assetto Corsa Competizione. I did another broadcast just a few hours ago where I actually got to see the 296 in action, and it is a beautiful, beautiful car. As Coolharvey ups his way through the sausage curbs on the Della Roggia chicane before heading into the first of the two Lesmos. But the 488 has been a stalwart of Maranello for multiple years. It's taken the likes of James Collado to multiple FIA World Endurance titles in GTE form, the 488. But to see the 296 now becoming its inevitable successor, it just goes to show the pedigree that Ferrari does have in GT3 racing, doesn't it, Marco?
Yeah, that was, of course, it was that weird period in time when the 488 was developed, when there seemed to be like there was going to be sort of a convergence between GT and GT3, and in fact this car can be easily adapted into both specs with a kit provided by Ferrari, whilst, for example, Ford and Porsche went with what were, I wouldn't say prototypes, but basically that's what they were, no? In GT, of course. This car, honestly, the 458 Italia was and still is my favorite Ferrari GTE, especially. That sound was absolutely amazing live. But this has really taken over since its first year. It was introduced in competition in 2016 or 17, if I'm not mistaken. 2016, of course, was introduced. And really, it seemed like it. Looking at the dates now, it seems like it was yesterday, but we are, well, many years later now, and so maybe about time it gets replaced, but it seemed like it's been around forever.
Yeah, 296 GT3 made its debut at the Rolex Daytona 24 this past January, with unfortunately not quite the success that Maranello were hoping for through a couple of the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship customer teams that are using the car this season. But also the 296 making its debut in the International GT Open Series this year as well. But there we see Diego Villarreal currently holding on to third position, just about 3.9 seconds behind Jackson Ascendje, who in turn is 4.5 seconds behind Gael Valero, as we are fast approaching half-time in this race. That 5 out of 10 about to be completed. And even though we're not seeing any sort of like furious battling on track, unlike the skirmish we saw on the Netafilio chicane between Ascendje and Coolharvey on the first lap, still to see these cars power their way around the circuit is a glorious sight. I mean, the McLaren MP412C has been a car that has been used for so many years on the iRacing service, and what's more, the fact that whenever you get a downshift on that car, I love the fact that the twin exhaust pipes just blow out the flames. All the unburnt fuel just gets like catapulted and ignited at the same time out of the back of that particular car from working.
It's honestly one of the reasons I think many people, especially in the lower splits, not the pointy end, of course, of the racing drivers, but you know, drivers like me, you see a lot of it, because when you are a slow driver like me, you tend to go for the coolest car, the car you like the most, no? And that McLaren really is, especially when you're driving behind it, you know, it's so cool to see those flames coming right at you. There is literally, I think, nothing else like that. The closest thing to that, I think, in iRacing now is the Formula V with these puffs of smoke during gear shift. And also a very, very nice car. I'm a bit surprised, honestly, because iRacing has a very close relationship with McLaren that we haven't had any recent GT3 competitors from walking in the service for now more than 10 years, which is quite astonishing.
Yeah, especially when considering the talisman car used by McLaren is the 720S, which has been used in good effect by Jenson Button and Rocket RJN when they were running in British GT. Optimum Motorsport used that car quite a bit. Of course, this week has seen a couple of test days ahead of the 2023 CrowdStrike 24 Hours of Spa-Francorchamps. The event will be the 75th anniversary of the 24-hour race in the Ardennes Forest. So we are now on to lap number 7. We're riding with Jackson Resenje, who's just put in a 1 minute 49.03. Diego Villarreal, about 7/10 of a second adrift. Gaston Coulthard is lapping on similar pace at the moment to Resenje and is closing the gap, I might add, Villarreal. Slowly but surely. He was about 6.7 seconds behind. He's halved that gap now, and there's still about 3.5 laps to go. So I think Coulthard still might have a chance, depending on how much time he takes out of Diego Villarreal in the next couple of laps. Will he be close enough to maybe have a lunch?
It's something very interesting because, and this is not a knock on Diego, of course, because he's a very reliable driver, but he's not the fastest driver in the field. And I was a bit surprised when, after the first couple of laps, that gap between himself and Gaston Coulthard wasn't shrinking as fast as I was imagining it was going to be. Now, as you were saying, it is getting smaller and smaller, but not at a rate that... Oh wow! I don't want to jinx, of course. This is, of course, on board with Resenji. I don't want to jinx Diego, but you know, we will have 3 laps to go at the stripe, so maybe we could have some sort of a battle coming when the final lap comes. But we shall see, because Villarreal is not making any mistakes. He's doing his race, not taking too many risks. He had a couple of moments in the first couple of laps, but at the end he settled down nicely. And of course, Coulthard, we know, very fast driver, but he needs to be perfect in these final 3 laps if he wants to have a shot at the driver from Uruguay in front of him.
Well, he's just taken over 1.2 seconds out of Villarreal. Villarreal did actually have a big off-track mode. It might have been coming out of the second Lesmo. See the intermediates through all 5 sectors between the two, and that is most time that Coulthard actually made up was in sector number 2. Nearly 3.5 of a second. The gap now down to 2.4. We're on to our 8th lap out of 10. And Gaio Valero now consistently running in the high 1 minute 47s. It's just had the briefest of off tracks, I think, coming out of the first Lesmo. And there is Villarreal. I think I've had a slight slowdown there. I'm not 100% sure, but that gap now is really coming down significantly. When he's taken 1.2 seconds as Coulthard out of Villarreal on that previous lap. Villarreal just needs to hit his marks every single time. Can't afford to have any mistakes. Especially going through into Ascari. As we run on board with Coulthard now, as they go underneath the bridge and heading into the triple apex corner here at Variante Ascari. You can just see how aggressive Colharvey was going into the approach, not running as wide coming out of the corner in comparison to Villarreal, and the gap now has dropped to just under 2 seconds. Speed is building. Is he going to shift up into 6 before the braking zone? No, he's not. 256 indicated on the speedometer, and Colharvey just wrestling with a little bit of unwanted snap-on oversteer that the Ferrari's trying to push out towards the left or the right-hand side, and he gets on the loud pedal coming out of the final corner. Now onto the penultimate lap out of 10, and Gael Valero's lead is now stretched to 8.5 seconds. He's just gone a second and a half quicker than Jackson Resenje on that previous tour, whereas Villarreal is now going to possibly be a little bit worried because Colharvey is 9/10 quicker on that previous lap. Gap now down to 1.5 seconds between third and fourth.
Alex, it seems like our prediction is about to become true, because at this rate, Colharvey will be in striking range possibly by the end of this lap, the beginning of the next one. Of course, one thing that is not missing here at Monza is the passing opportunities. If you want to make it happen, you have, especially the first and second chicanes are excellent chances of making a pass, and if those don't work, you still have the Parabolica. The Ascari is also a possibility, but very, very tricky in my opinion to make it work, especially because you have a lot of gravel on the right and those nasty speed bumps basically in all the 3 apexes of the corner. You can see one, and I can tell you, I know it's difficult to believe this, but I was able to front flip an Audi R18 over those speed bumps here in iRacing, so they are very nasty.
Got 2 words to say to that, and they're quite appropriate with this track. Mamma mia. White flag is out for the race. I just had to say it, we are of course at Monza after all. The is about 15% through the final lap out of 10. It's now stretched a lead of nearly 10 seconds. Pretty much make that 10 seconds. There is your race leader in the picture-in-picture as he's making his way out of Rettifiglio into Curva Grande, Curva Bisasono. And there is, it's 6 and a bit tenths of a second between these two. So Colharvey has had a bit of a comeback spell of this race here at Monza after touching the back of Jackson Resenje on the opening approach into the Rettifiglio chicane. I think Colharvey's best opportunity is going to be coming out of Ascari, heading into Parabolica Alboreto, and then going across the start-finish line. It could be a drag race, but it just depends on how close Villarreal stays on his marks as Valero is making his way down to Ascari for the final time. Gap is now less than half a second. It's going to get very, very close indeed. They're out of the second Lesmo, heading through Saraglio. We'll be heading down under the bridge. Colharvey has got the run. Is he going to lunge up the inside going into Ascari? He might wait until he gets out of that triple apex chicane here at this point of the circuit. He's going to try and get the run and get the draft into Alboreto, but Gael Valero comes out of the final corner. He's going to pick up another victory. It's the number 33 from Apex Racing Team. He's led from lights out to checkered flag. He's going to win by nearly 11 seconds. And Resenje is going to cross the line very, very shortly to take P2. But who's going to get the run out of the final corner? Is Colharvey going to get the run on Villarreal? It's going to be close. Let's just see the closing speeds. Colharvey pulls to the right-hand side. Is he going to get it? No, he does not. It was close, but no cigar for the number 3 from Argentina as the Uruguayan takes P3. But Valero wins the opening race. That is the conclusion. Race number 14 for AMX5 here at Autodromo Nazionale Monza at this wonderful circuit that has been in operation for a century and looks to continue that tradition on for a very, very long time to come. Gael Valero takes the victory. Jackson Resenje finishes in second position, 11.064 seconds behind. Diego Villarreal pips Gaston Colharvey to third by next to nothing, 19 hundredths of a second, just under 2/10 of a second separating the two. You know what, Marco? That's a pretty good way to start the today's action, isn't it, here on AMX Global?
Absolutely. I was a bit surprised because Kulavi worked so hard for that comeback, but in the last lap, Alex, he looked a bit passive. I was expecting him to go for a move at Parabolica, but it wasn't meant to be. But now the guys will have a short break, and what a big change they will have to do, of course, because we are moving down under with a completely different car in the Volkswagen Jetta TDI.
Yeah, funny enough, I actually owned a Volkswagen Jetta TDI as a road car. So this is going to bring back some memories for me as a road car owner. But yes, we're going to be going on to a brief break very, very shortly. A big thank you to Automatics. A big thank you to Ben Q, their continued support. Next race is coming up. Head to amxrace.com, folks, to sign up. It's free entry. And what's more, right through the month of May, you've got the 2x multiplier, which means double the prize money. Don't forget, you can hit us up on all the respective social medias, which you'll see down below right now. Don't forget to follow us on Twitch. Don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube. Follow us on the relevant social medias. Myself and Marco will be back after a little bit of a break. We'll be back with you with AMX Zero as Oran Park, just outside of Sydney in Australia, hosts Volkswagen Jetta TDIs. Coming up next. See you in a few moments, folks.
Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Brake reminder and force brake help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force brake activates to rest your eyes. Eye care you. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Brake reminder and force brake help manage your screen time. When it's almost time, a countdown starts. Force brake activates to rest your eyes. Eye care you. Safeguard your eyes. Safeguard your eyes smartly and easily with an eye care monitor and eye care U software. Working on a paper? Turn on low blue light mode. Is the sun too bright? Let brightness intelligence do its work. Now better. Writing code gets your eyes tired? Try coding mode. Forget the time. Light Reminder lets you know. Totally immersed in the movie? Minimize software won't distract you. Brake Reminder and Force Brake help manage your screen time.
Well, after a brief break, we are back here to continue this race day here on AMX Global. My name's Alex, rejoined again by Marco. Marco, we're going to a land down under. We're going to a circuit that unfortunately was closed 13 years ago, just outside of Sydney, Australia, to Oran Park. But it's a moment you and I have both been waiting for. We've both been waiting to commentate on Volkswagen Jetta TDIs, and now here is our chance. I mean, what a way to cap off what's been a great, an entertaining evening of action so far, even though it's morning where we both are at the minute.
Absolutely, Alex. And the Jetta, of course, one of the few, if not the only car, together with the Pontiac Solstice in iRacing, that has actually been paid for by the manufacturer to be in the sim many years ago, of course, and it was only recently retired, just 3 months back, when it was replaced by the Clio Cup car in the Racing Official Production Car Challenge. And of course, only the second, the first ever and the second overall diesel car on the service. So quite a unique experience for these drivers tonight.
Yeah, so here is the total earnings. We've already gone through them once again, so I'm not going to waste any syllables on that, but you can see it's still Caio Gaspar that leads the way. Caio Valero will have a few more dollars in his back pocket after winning the GT3 race at AMX 5 in Monza just a few moments ago. Gaston Coulharvey will be kicking himself after what happened in that race, but you know what? You have to sort of sweep it under the carpet. But AMX 0 is a 2 times multiplier tier prize boost. We've got a promotion running right the way through to the end of the month. And you can see the old prize pool on your left, new prize pool is on your right hand side. A total of $60 prize pool per race, free entry for anybody, $14 for picking up the win, $10 for second, $8 for third, $5 for fourth, and then 5th and 6th you pick up $4. So if you're in the top 10, you're gonna be quids in, as we would say here in the United Kingdom, because it doesn't matter where you start, it's where you finish, and if you finish, you get points and dollars. Caio Gaspar leads the way. Corentin Guiñez is second. Caio Valero back again. He's fresh off the back of a victory at Monza. Can he do the double here again tonight in the Jetta TDIs here at Oran Park in Australia? Victor Miranda also not in this one either, but Coulharvey is. Good to see Octavio Rondoletto rejoining the grid. And you know what? I'm going to leave it over to the man that's going to give you all the information about the track and the cars we're going to be using tonight. Marco, over to you, buddy.
and I'm seeing that track temperature 52 degrees Celsius. It's going to be super hot at Oran Park. I am very happy we are racing in the full layout, so we'll do the figure eight going up and down the bridge. This classic Australian track that, as you were saying, sadly is not in use anymore, but one of the more iconic layouts in all of racing. Will provide for some close quarter battling and very unforgiving, with lots and lots of grass and gravel runoff and no tarmac. And as I was saying, we are racing with what can be considered, in my opinion, a touring car on its own, the Jetta TDI from Volkswagen, as I was saying earlier, introduced in iRacing in 2009, if I'm not mistaken, when it was in a partnership with Volkswagen. So much so that in the iRacing paint booth you can recreate the real liveries from that season in the North America Jetta TDI trophy. Of course, another unique feature of this car in iRacing, it has no adjustable bits in the setup. Now, of course, we're racing with a fixed setup tonight, but even if you weren't racing with a fixed setup, well, you can't change anything apart from the fuel, which of course is pointless because it's a diesel car and you can go around for ages without worrying about refueling, of course, Alex.
Yeah, the Volkswagen Jetta, funnily enough, this particular generation was the A5 generation, or the 5th generation, which debuted at the Los Angeles Auto Show back in January 2005. My own car was a 1.9 Jetta TDI SE model, so it had the chrome grille from the R32 on the front of it back in 2007. But these cars producing it's a 2-litre PD engine, so a Pumperduzer direct injection, 170 brake horsepower, nearly 300 newton meters of torque. The same engine that was used in the Golf GT TDI Mark V 170, and is an absolute rocket ship. These cars will also be using the DSG, the direct shift twin clutch gearboxes as well. So yeah, but also the biggest thing is with the diesel and its front wheel drive, whilst one of the things we always find, apart from having the steering, Marco, is torque steer.
Yes, and another thing that I noticed about this car, because of course I was one of the few guys that owned this car in iRacing way back when, I'm very sad about its demise eventually in the service. You really need to turn the volume up because it's super quiet. By the way, the DSG gearbox, of course, that in iRacing we find again after many years in the Audi RS3 LMS TCR, which we've seen many times over here in AMX. So the technology, is been carried on by the Volkswagen Group in their TCR machines, especially in the ones that are used in IMSA competition, because they have rolling starts there, so don't have to worry about the clutch.
Yeah, and also the DSG gearboxes in Volkswagen actually about 2008 started to move to a dry sump DSG gearbox. There used to be a wet clutch system before that. That was Gaston Coulharvey going straight on and mowing some grass whilst he was at it. But free practice has come to an end. It's going to be on this particular occasion, it's going to be a 12-lap race, and it's going to be a 10-minute qualification session. Jackson Osenje took the top time in that session ahead of Oncos Racing Esports Octavio Rondeletto, the Argentinian, by just over a tenth. Gaio Valero rounding out the top three. Gaston Coulharvey, Leo Mora, and Manuel Scoli rounding out the six spots in AMX 0 race number 26. So we are seeing cars going out onto the track now because they're getting into the early throes of their 10-minute qualification session here at Oran Park. Just a shade over 1.6 miles in length. There is the number 48 of Octavio Rondeletto making his way over the bridge, and you'll see the elevation changes and the camber changes here at Oran Park. It's very deceiving circuit, especially in a car as formidable as the Jetta TDI. The Jetta TDI Cup ran between 2008 and 2010 in the United States of America, and was well received by a lot of people. was a great way of people to get the opportunity to break into competitive motorsport in their own right, as there is the 48 of Rondeletto coming across the line. And interestingly enough, this circuit has quite a few, let's say, interesting corner names, to be completely honest with you. The first corner known as Recaro Corner, then they've got the O'Brien Aluminium Dogleg. So it just goes to show that, just like the British, the Australians are very, very handy at naming tracks with interesting corner names as such.
You can hear how quiet this car is as we are going through over the bridge, of course. You can see a little bit like Winton also, you have plenty of grass areas where you can lose yourself if you are not careful enough. So we see the first lap times coming on your monitor in just a bit. You see, for example, here I think, yeah, one of these cars is created with the basically iRacing gave you this extra option only for this car to have some extra sponsors which mimicked the real life sponsors in the North American Jetta TDI trophy, so you could recreate those liveries basically, as you can see right here. Kulabi over Scully. Now, usually the rule of thumb here, Alex, and AMX has been the slower the cars, the more compact the grid, and then the bigger the fun for us during the race. And I'm not expecting anything different today, like we've seen, of course, a few hours back with the Formula V's at Branzaccia. I'm expecting another hotly contested race by all the competitors.
Yeah, Jackson Resenje goes P2 on a 1 minute 17.460. As you can hear, the front tyres absolutely screaming for mercy in the hands of Gaston Coulthardby. There is the number 30 of Leo Mora, the Canadian, running in the Gridburn liveried Jetta TDI, going up the crest of the hill. This is his first race of season 2, so we did see him previously in, I think, beta season 1.5. He's making his way through into the left-hander here, which you'll see the big old new clubhouse on the right-hand side of your screens, as Gaston Coulthardby has gone fastest in the first and second sectors. He's set a personal best in sector number 4. Fabio Rondeletto, in the meantime, is on the move. He's just gone in and put in a lap. Now, where has that put him? That's put him P2. 20 thousandths behind Gaston Coulthardby. 1 minute 17.249 for the number 48 for Hunkos Racing. So, good job by him, and you can just see how close it is. The Syntec liveried number 33 Jetta of Gael Valero, showing the clean diesel banner on the back windscreen. He's about 8 tenths off of Coulthardby at the moment, but we know for a fact that you can see the way that these drivers are going through. So he's just gone through the O'Brien aluminium dogleg, now into the left-hander here at Recaro Corner before this very, very long start-finish straight. And we're going to see if Valero does actually improve. Was P5. Where does it put him now? It keeps him in 5th place, and he's 1/1000ths behind Manuel Scully in the number 1. So it is incredibly competitive. So we see Gaston Coulthardby, who's ahead of Octavio Rondeletto. He's just making his way through Recaro Corner and onto the start-finish straight, staying out of the way of the traffic on the right-hand side. So heading through in towards the sweeper here at turn 1 before Coca-Cola Corner, and they'll go underneath Yokohama Bridge. That was a big old fling of speed there. Manuel Scully gets it into the kitty litter and hits the battery straight on. Oh, dearie me. It was only a matter of time before one of these Jettas was going to bounce its way over the kitty litter, and that's exactly what Manuel Scully has just done. But there's still 4 minutes in this qualifying session still to go, with lap times around about a 1 minute 17 or so. Valero's improved on that particular part of the circuit. He's making his way in towards Recaro Corner for what's going to be another completed lap. This will be his 3rd lap in this qualification session. Best lap from him, 1 minute 17.90. Across the line, he stays. He's just set pretty much the same lap time as he did the previous lap. We're going to go to a replay here. Here's the replay of Manuel Scully. Now going into the sweep. Now look at the back end's got some snap-on oversteer. It's like he initiated the Scandinavian flick, bumps over the curbs, a little bit of mowing, in through the kitty litter and bang.
Yeah, the clipping the gas there on the right didn't do him any favor, and of course that continued. You know, usually front-wheel drive cars, you can stomp on the gas pedal and they will go back pointing straight, but there was no space there. He jumped on the curb and then went straight on. You know, when iRacing riscanned VIR a few months back, not only we lost the Oak Tree, of course, because sadly it's not there anymore, but also under the bridge there in the first sector of VIR, you had a beautiful Volkswagen banner that said Clean Diesel Great Fun or something like that, and sadly we lost that, but the Clean Diesel banner still present on this car. And if people watching don't know about the story of the Clean Diesel, Google will help you, because it's not really clean. Let's put it this way. You know, I won't say anything else. I don't want to get AMX in trouble. At least, I mean, there was you know, punishment, so it's not really getting into trouble. But yeah,
sorry. But yeah, it's. I mean, the thing is that, well, we know that diesels have a lot more torque than you know, I mean, that's why Audi Sport was so dominant with the, you know, the Audi R10, E10 TDI, the Audi R18, both in, you know, its normal diesel configuration, but also the e-tron was very much a weapon to be feared, especially if you had Alan McNish behind the wheel starting at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. We're now back with Manuel Scully, who's improved in the first, third and fourth sectors. He's now coming around Recaro corner to complete another lap. Is he going to improve as he hangs it very wide towards the outside wall, and across the line he goes? Stays fourth on that particular occasion, 1 minute 17.853, so personal best. He'll probably get one more lap in. Or Gaston Coulharvey stopped on the circuit, and that was coming out of Shell corner. As Rondeletto crosses the line. I think he improved on that particular occasion. It was a 1 minute 17. Well, I don't think it's. I mean, but Senji's on another outlap. But the big question here is that he? I don't think he might have enough time to cross the line before starting a final lap. But whether the server times out is another matter altogether. Senji crosses the line now. You're going to see how fast this car will be going into the sweeper. 185 kilometers an hour, and scrabbling for traction under braking into Coca-Cola before going under the Yokohama Bridge. So this is an old school figure of 8 track. He's going to go into the right-hander here at Shell corner. Now boots the power into Champion curve. Should be a double right coming up now before going over the Yokohama Bridge. Whilst going up the timer has run out here in qualifying. You can see the car's bumping and squealing all over the shop as he's trying to go through into Foster's dip and into Momo corner. Car just scrabbling for traction all over the place into the left-hander. Octavio Rondeletto's just gone purple and has just gone fastest of anybody. Jackson Asenje has just aborted that lap, and Rondeletto decides, oh, I'm going to go off. Big time.
oh,
That's one way to celebrate a pole position, isn't it?
absolutely it is, and we just have Gael Valero and Manuel Scully on the racetrack, which the only two drivers are going to be able to post a lap time should they complete this lap. Scully is not improving, but Valero is, even though Gael's time is not good enough, I think, for pole position, but it's so tight, it might very well be pulling Russell in Hungary last season. Let's see. Oh, second, same time as Coulharvey. Incredible.
Well, actually quicker, as yeah, snap-on oversteer and sliding it across the grass. So, he's nearly rolled it. He's nearly rolled it. Nearly had our first roll of the night. Oh yeah, there we go.
Yes, we have.
We have a roll. Thank you. Merci beaucoup, Gael Valero.
If people are confused as to why Valero got placed instead of Kulavi, despite doing the lap later, it's because in racing, even though they don't show it to us, they go to the 4th decimal. So slightly quicker was Valero. I misspoke there. It's the same time on the screen, but it was slightly faster.
Yeah, it's always the way when that kind of thing happens. But Octavio Rondeletto has picked up pole position for this race 26 of AMX 0, so we'll start from pole position. And as Marco very much educated every one of you, but also educated me at the same time, that it came down to the 4th decimal place, and Gael Valero was literally several, probably micro thousandths of a second quicker than Gaston Coulhavy, so puts the 33 from France on the outside of row number 1. Coulhavy and Resenje will be on row 2, with Scully and Mora rounding out the 6-strong grid. Very competitive between the top 5, though, I have to say, is the fact that it was 3/4 of a second. We are going to have a traditional standing start for this one, because front-wheel drive, rolling starts never go too well. We're waiting for Gaston Coulhavy just to grid up, ready up, so at least we can get things underway. It's going to be 12 laps of this 1.6-mile circuit here at Oran Park. Wait for the revs to build.
Oh, jump start. Number 1, jump start.
Oh dear, Manuel Scully, so not a good one there. A lot of wheel spin from quite a few cars, but Rondeletto leads the field down to the sweeper for the first time. Coulhavy's got round towards the outside of Valero as they go into the sweeper, into Coca-Cola. As Scully nearly goes off track as Mora's up the inside of the number 1. Now through into the run, into Shell Corner, underneath the Yokohama Bridge for the first time. Great camera shot we got here, the helicam shot. As Coulhavy nearly into the back bumper of Rondeletto, nearly a repeat of what he did to the Senje at Monza in AMX 5 at Monza just a few moments ago. Everyone cleanly through as they head over the Yokohama Bridge, and then we'll go down into Foster's Dip. As you said, Marco, very, very closely packed already. 2.6 seconds covers the entirety of the 6-car field, but Rondeletto got a good start. Coulhavy managed to hit Valero to at the sweep very, very quickly indeed. Looked like Valero got a lot of wheel spin off the line, and he was actually pointing his wheels to the left-hand side to try and mitigate that wheel spin off the line. Rondeletto leads them out of Caro Corner to complete lap number 1 out of 12. And between the top 4 is 1.5 seconds.
Yeah, first lap in the books. You can see Scully entering pit lane to clear his jump start penalty. Very easy to do, especially because this car doesn't have a clutch. So if you're used to pushing down the clutch to get the revs up, easy mental mistake to make before the race. I've been victim of this many times, so I don't blame him.
Yeah. It's about 1.7 seconds between first and fourth. Coulhavy losing a little bit of time to Rondeletto as they make their way through into the next right-hander. Just see we're on board with, as we go over the Yokohama Bridge on lap 2, so halfway through this second lap out of 12. Back from Coulhavy, got Valero just behind, 3.5 tenths of a second drift. Senje's not too far behind Valero either. They are really hustling these cars around at breakneck speed at around about the best part of nearly 180 or so kilometers an hour. They've just come through the dog leg into Recaro Corner. Lap number 2 is going to be completed very shortly. But Senje is closing on Valero. It was very, very close to the wall on the right-hand side as they came out of that final corner. 1 minute 17.346 is the fastest lap of the race, and that is being set by the driver we're on board with, Jackson Senje, who's nearly at 190 kilometers an hour heading into the sweeper, and then hard on the brakes into third gear. good thing is about the torque is that you don't need to drop it all the way down the gearbox like you would do in a traditional petrol internal combustion engine, because the amount of low down grunt these engines provide.
Of course, with front-wheel drive, the temptation to stomp on that gas pedal is strong, but you need to remember that when you're putting the power down is also the axis that you are steering the car with, so you need to be careful, otherwise the understeer will bite you very, very hardly. I am always amazed when I look at this track, Alex, because on paper it's such a simple layout. Oh, big off!
Oh, and that was Jackson Resenje. Resenje had just binned it big time. Not exactly the place on the circuit where you want to do that either. That was coming through into the dog leg, so he lost the back end coming out of Momo corner. It's a three-way scrap now between Rondeletto, Kulhavi and Valero. They have come by just under 0.8 of a second. As we make our way onto lap number 4, we're going to have a look at the replay now of Resenje's big old off. Very much a code brown now. Just keep an eye on the number 5. 2 wheels on the grass, back end steps out, wheel spinning like a good one. He's trying to lock up the brakes. He's very close to the wall. Back end hits it. Oh, and it turns it around and it ends up being a 270 there. Jackson Resenje, he kind of got away with that one, didn't he?
Yeah, and I was just about to say, you know, this track looks so simple on paper, then you go actually and drive it. And as I always say, the beauty of sim racing, you can pick up. This is actually a free track now when I'm racing, not when I purchased it, by the way, but anyways, rightfully made into free content, and it became much more popular, of course. You can grab the car, you can same weather, etc., and try for yourself. Look at the elevation changes and the fact that you have basically 0 runoff areas made of tarmac. You have grass and gravel, so you have to be spot on with your racing lines. And with these cars, which are not, you know, nimble formula cars, they are like, you know, touring cars, so you need to with very minimal modifications to make them into race cars from the street car itself. You understand how difficult it is to be consistently fast lap after lap in a field as tight as this one. Rondoletto 1:17.0, that's a new fastest lap of the race. Kulabi and Valero are equally distant. I lost the reference there for a second, Alex. I thought Rondoletto was going around, but no, it was just the camera was having a very, very tight shot of Kulabi behind him.
Yeah, it was very, very close between them. So $14 for the victory here in AMX 0 race number 26. Little bump over the curbs, courtesy of Gaio Valero, and that was coming through Champion Curve and heading over the Yokohama Bridge. But Kulhavi is trying to close on in on Rondeletto, but lost out by just over 0.3 of a second on the previous lap. Valero was a further half a second adrift, so it just goes to show that when you're in equal machinery in a spec style series, like with the Volkswagen Jetta TDI Cup cars, as Marco alluded to earlier, it's about the skill of the driver, you know, who can compensate as much as humanly possible. Very tight line coming through Recaro corner by Valero, who swings the car very, very wide, very close to the wall on the exit of the corner, going down the start-finish straight. That gave him a little bit more speed on that particular occasion. He was only about 1.2 behind Kulhavi, who in turn was 2/100 slower. Rondeletto, who continues to leave that gap, is coming down. It's coming down to less than 0.6 as they go under the Yokohama Bridge, now into the slight right-hander here at Shell Corner, which nearly goes back onto itself. And it's, you can see even Rondeletto, as soon as you hit the curbs, the front end just starts bouncing, so you lose all that grip, all that purchase, because the car's front end is bouncing up and down, like a construction site. And it is so difficult to keep that momentum going, but you've just got to make the very, very best of it that you can. Rondeletto seems to be doing that so far. Kulhavi's trying to keep him very, very honest, but now it's 2 seconds covering the top 3, so the gaps are starting to expand a little bit now. But is that going to come into play a little bit later on in the race, because we're nearly at half distance? As our race leader, Octavio Rondeletto, comes out of Caro corner, bringing it across the line to start lap number 7 out of 12. That gap is starting to expand. Looks like Kulhavi's lost a little bit of momentum in the O'Brien Aluminium dogleg, coming out of Momo corner, heading down into Recaro. whereas Valero is trying to close the gap. I mean, Rondeletto is so consistent, and Jackson Asenje has been off the circuit again. That's out of the final corner. Now, has he hit the barriers? Because I don't think he doesn't look like he's moving very far at all. He's gotten up to speed. He's just gone into the pit lane. He must have had a massive off, and Manuel Scully has got some front wing. Well, he's got some front right damage. That right front wing is completely stoved in.
I'm a bit confused because maybe, but I think no, Scully was not close to Asenji there. By the way, Jackson entered the pit lane, but then that second thought, so he went back onto the track. So the trigger for the overlay got him at basically pit entry, but then maybe at second thoughts. So weird that Manuel has got the damage on the front right. I'm seeing that Valero is closing in on Kulavi very slightly. Now, I'm a bit surprised to see, and this speaks volumes to the quality of the field in this race, because Gael Valero is an absolute master of front-wheel drive cars. Of course, in TCR is fantastic, and Apex Racing Team has a long tradition of success in front-wheel drive competitions from the days of the BSR series with the Kia, and of course going now with the TCR cars. But still, Kulavi and of course Rondoletto are holding strong for the two Argentinian drivers, first and second place. So let's see if Valero has something up his sleeve, because it seems like he is no match for the two Argentinians in front of him, especially Rondoletto, not a guy you always see in front-wheel drive races, but he's been very fast today.
Yeah, the gaps seem to be expanding between first, second, and third. There's Leo Mora, the Canadian, running in fourth place in the number 30 Jetta. He's about 5.3 seconds. He's running it consistently in the low 1 minute 18s. There is Kulhavi as they go through what will be the O'Brien aluminium dogleg and through into Recaro corner. So lap 8 completed. 2/3 of the race distance has been completed. Onto lap number 9 out of 12 we go. And even though they're going very close to the wall, you did see a brief trigger on the timing that Valero was apparently going into pit lane, but he isn't. He was just getting so close to the wall that he was about to skim the paint off the right-hand side of the vehicle. On board with Kulhavi as they now go back up towards Shell Corner into the right-hander. Kulhavi has just taken a little bit of time, and that gap was 1.5 seconds. It's now a second, so Kulhavi seems to have gotten a little bit of a rhythm back here, Marco, and that can prove to pay dividends. It's just whether he can compete, he can keep that going over the course of the lap as they go over the Yokohama Bridge and through into Foster's Dip very shortly.
Yeah, just a couple of laps back, Kulavi was losing time compared to Valero. He was under a second, the gap between the pair of them, and as soon as I say that, of course, the reverse commentator scores in this case. The gap expanded once again. We have a replay. Let me say, our fantastic production crew has been spot on tonight, and this is Scully, the damage that you were talking about earlier. Good catch there, Alex. Not so a good catch for Manuel, who's had a race to forget after the jump start penalty. His race has unraveled, and that is how he got that front right damage you were talking about earlier. Thankfully for him, quite a flat impact with the barriers, so his car is not 100%, I'd say, but still able to continue.
Yeah, and gap again between Rondoletto and Kulhavi. The pendulum seems to be swinging once again. It was just coming towards a second. It's now over 1.2, nearly make that 1.3 seconds between first and second position. Valero is not going to make as much headway as he probably would have liked. Would have liked to have been at the front end of this field, but Rondoletto is the one that has everyone else's number at this particular juncture, as they have just gone over the Yokohama Bridge. They're going into Foster's Dip once again, through into the left-hander here at Momo Corner. A very well-known exponent of steering wheels when it comes to both modified and race performance vehicles. Into the O'Brien aluminium dogleg once again, over the crest. A little bit of a bump on the sausage curves on the left-hand side of the dogleg, courtesy of Gaston Kulharvi, who gets so close to the wall coming out of Recaro. That was obscene from the number 4. He gets the gap back down to just under a second. He nearly took 3/10 out of Rondeletto on that previous lap alone. So Kulharvi seems to really hook it up in the final sector.
And it takes so much faith and skill to be able to hit that line consistently lap after lap, especially when you have so little time to practice, of course, between one race and the other. But you are right, Kulharvi is closing in massively with just 1.5 laps to go. It seems like he will have maybe a chance for a last-ditch effort in the final lap. He's getting closer and closer and closer to the countryman in first place. And the final lap just about to start, Alex. So we'll see if Kulharvi has something left in the tank to go for the move for P1.
Through the O'Brien aluminium dogleg for the penultimate time go our top 2. Gap now is coming down into the braking zone, into Recaro corner. The gap has now expanded once again. White flag out this time for lap 12 out of 12 here at Oran Park in Australia. The gap between Rondeletto and Kulharvi. They have dropped Valero like a bad habit as they head through into the sweep for the final time here on lap number 12 out of 12. Into Coca-Cola, tight left-hander, which then opens up as they'll head into Shell corner. There is Valero, who is now 4.7 seconds behind this battle. He's sustained some damage to the right-hand side of the number 33. Excuse me. But Kulharvi is trying to do his utmost to get past Ottavio Rondeletto. But as they go over the Yokohama Bridge, he's only got half a lap to do this, and he's not close enough. He needs to be within 4/10 to be within striking distance of the number 48, his countryman. As they go through into Momo corner, just a handful of corners remain. It's going to be the dogleg coming up next. Going to go up the incline here through the right-hander and quickly shift to the left-hand side. One more corner remains. It's going to be 2 different winners tonight here at AMX Global as Ottavio Rondeletto from Juncos Racing Esports comes out of the final turn. He will pick up the victory here at Oran Park in Australia. Gaston Kulharvi takes a well-deserved second-place victory by just over 0.8 of a second. Gaio Valero, first in the previous race, third in this one. Good work by Leo Mora, who takes 4th position. A little bit of afters there between Rondeletto and Kulharvi. Just a little bit of sportsmanship between 2 Argentinians. Resenje will cross the line very, very shortly indeed. He will take E5. He's coming through the final corner. He's also sustained some damage to the right front, and he clobbers the barriers. And Kulharvi looks like he was trying to find a jump somewhere on the circuit. Rondeletto's doing backwards donuts to celebrate the victory, lighting up the front tyres on the 2-litre 170 brake horsepower turbo diesel. And Manuel Ascoli is not that far away from getting across the start-finish line, which he's going to do now. Come on, Ottavio, just do a burnout for us. Just do some 11s on the circuit, please. Just spin up the rear wheels and just put on the e-brake. Come on. Oh, he's just come to a grinding halt, and then there's Manuel Ascoli coming across the line to complete his final lap. And everyone tonight, folks, picks up some prize money here at Oran Park in the wonderfully classic Jetta TDI Cup cars. What a race that was, Marco. I mean, Rondeletto and Kulharvi kept us guessing all the while, didn't they? And Valero didn't really have an answer.
Yes, absolutely. Rondeletto, like Julius Caesar, he came, he saw, and he conquered. And he was able to get into the groove for this second race, only taking part in this and keeping his emotions in check, of course, with, as you can see, Gaston Kulharvi coming so close. But for Kulharvi, once again, just like in Monza, able to close the gap but not able to make the move for the overtake. Gael Valero, we'll see, disappointing third. I was expecting a bit more, but still double podium for him. Leo Mora, of course, his first race tonight this season with us in 4th place, and of course the 2 drivers that had big problems, Resenji and Manuel Ascoli, who got tagged with a jump start penalty.
Yeah, Octavio Rondeletto, Veni Vidi Vici, as they say in the old terminology, back in the Latin. You know, there we go. There we go. He's got the magnet as well, folks. But you know what? I mean, that's been a brilliant way to cap off what's been 2 great races. We've had GT3s at Monza for AMX 5, and we capped it off with AMX 0, which has the 2-tier multiplier all the way through the month of May, right up until May 31st. But folks, just to let you know about what's coming up on AMX Global, we've got race day 28 coming up soon towards the end of this week. We've got AMX 5 race 15, it's the Ray Formula Ford 1600s at WeatherTech Raceway, Laguna Seca. And after that, we'll have AMX 20 race number 15. It'll be it'll be touring car action. It will be the Hyundai Veloster and the Elantra N TCR. It's I came, I saw, I conquered, not I won. Thank you very much, AMX Global, at the bottom, if you didn't notice that scrolling at the bottom of your screens, folks. Still plenty of races to sign up for. Head to amxrace.com. Big thank you once again to Automatics and BenQ for their support. We are here at AMX Global, powered by Upbit. Don't forget, hit us up on the relevant social media channels on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. Follow us on Twitch, subscribe to us on YouTube. Doing that simple little click will help us no end, and we can't thank everybody enough that's been watching all our streams so far. Marco, it's been a pleasure working alongside you once again. Big thank you to our team over in South Korea for their fantastic work at the broadcast with the likes of Jacob, TJ, Reed, Naji, and everybody else. Big thank you all for watching. On behalf of Marco and myself, Alex, we'll see you next time here on AMX Global, amxrace.com. It is, of course, the place to race. Thanks for watching. See you again soon. Goodbye.